If I were to ask you to think about Scotland and alcohol, odds are most people would think about whisky. And there's a good reason that distilling is almost synonymous with Scotland, but beer and brewing have been just as important to us, both past and present. The history of brewing in Scotland stretches back over 5,000 years, right back into the Neolithic, and it's tied up in the early days of farming. Now, a little bit more recent than that, if you know your beers, you might recognise where we are today. We're at the Belhaven Brewery, which was founded in 1719. Makes them the oldest working brewery in Scotland, and next year they'll be celebrating their 300th birthday. Belhaven is a working modern brewery, but their history is incredibly important to them. And as of next year, there are going to be tours that are going to take you through not just the process and the science behind crafting Scotland's best-selling ale, but it's also going to take you through the history of this local landmark, an incredibly important employer for the area. After your tour, you can come up here into the little in-house pub, and can I just add, this is possibly the best pub in Scotland. There's no till, but you can try some of the huge variety of beers that are produced here at Belhaven. Now, beer is one of the oldest prepared drinks in the world. It's also the third most popular drink worldwide today. And essentially, it has its roots in the early days of farming. Now, when you think about it, beer is a very, very good drink, especially a weak beer, the low alcohol content. If you're working long days in a field, you've not necessarily got access to food, it's just enough to kind of keep you going. But I will say that the idea that people were drinking beer purely because they couldn't drink the water because it was cleaner than the water is a little bit of a myth. The fact is, most communities had clean drinking water from springs, streams, that sort of thing. And if you were drinking beer, well, you're drinking beer for the same reason we're drinking it today. The enjoyment. Slange? One thing that's quite unique to Belhaven is this perfect little Victorian garden that you just don't get in other breweries. And really it owes its existence and its survival to its sort of quasi-rural location in Dunbar. Because if this was a city centre, I mean, all of this land would have been well and truly used up by now. Brewing in Dunbar dates back to roughly the 13th century, when monks based out on the Isle of May, Firth of IV, founded a community here for agriculture, malting and brewing. Now, Belhaven is really the descendant of hundreds of breweries that supplied castles and communities up and down the east coast. So if you want to visit this perfect blend of history and innovation and, well, beer, then tours are hopefully going to start running in around about March 2019. And until then, of course, you can keep up to date with all of Diggett's adventures and obviously all the sites we visit if you follow us on social media.